Hello everybody and welcome to the 6th round of the World Touring Masters presented by TouringProSeries. I'm Keith Barrick, joined by Liam Jenkins to give you all of the action live here from Oran Park. How are you today, Liam?
Yeah, very good, thanks Keith. It's a real pleasure to be here and also a pleasure to have another co-commentator alongside us today, THR driver Chris Butcher. So Chris, also nice to have you here. How are you?
Good evening, I'm fine, thank you, and I'm looking forward to enjoying the race from the booth rather than the driver's seat this time.
Well, we do have Chris Butcher here joining us for this event. As you can see, the race poster is up on the screen there. This is the event that we are here at Oran Park, and on screen you can see in that poster our current points leader and almost crowned champion Jesper Talberg is here, and we will quickly go through the standings with you and show you what dominance Jesper Talberg has laid here in the World Touring Masters. But Liam, you want to go through the points?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Jesper's just done a great job this season, and he's coming with the slowest car, and he really just has asserted a level of dominance here, as Jesper does. 147 points. All he needs to do to really lock this championship out is finish 6th place or better here tonight. So Eric Tveit is in 2nd place at the moment, who isn't unfortunately racing on 105 points.
He actually has showed up. He is here, and he will be racing. I forgot to mention that, Liam. He is here and will be racing.
We've got a race on our hands, and so Toby Davis on 96 points in 3rd position won't be here tonight. Ross McGregor has got a chance of trying to get himself past Toby Davis, sits 2 points away on 94. Tommy Oyala sits on 79 points, so a bit further away, but will definitely be looking to try and close that gap down on Ross McGregor. William Levesque again is not here today after sustaining a minor injury on a moped. Matej Orban is up in 61 points at the moment. Chris Butcher, who's with us now, is not racing tonight. Bruno Salazar Ferreira sits behind on 53. Florian Strauss is on 44. Hunes Rido is on 41 points. He's tied with David Yunton, who's been on great form recently, so it'll be interesting to see how he can do this afternoon. As Nagy is on 36, followed by Davis, and Jay Adji rounds out the top 15, so still a lot to play for in the midfield.
Definitely, we've got a fairly tight battle in the midfield, but Jesper Talberg has been the man to beat this season, taking 4 of the 5 wins this season, with only just one person beating him this season, that being Eric Tveit, who is here joining us tonight. He wasn't feeling very well, but did decide to race. Obviously, he can see that there is a 2nd place in this championship still available, but we're now here. As you can see, we are on board with Ross McGregor at the moment, who is a contender for a potential runner-up spot in this championship. Oran Park is a very interesting circuit. It is very flowing, but as Chris Butcher has also mentioned to me this so far, is that he does not feel that there is going to be a lot of racing here. And you will see why as we hop on board. We'll see if we can hop on board with someone who's just starting a lap, as Florian Strauss, as he's just coming through turn 1. He's behind Talberg as Talberg goes wide there. But as you can see, it's a fairly narrow track, but you've basically got a lot of twisting and turning, because this is coming up through, now this is turn 3, as he runs a little wide and he just gets past there. But you can see that the passing zones are fairly minimal, and you're going to be making very robust moves if you're going to be doing it. You're going to literally be putting it down the inside and hoping to stick the car as Strauss abandons that lap. We'll see if we can get on board with someone for a full lap around this track, as Talberg is out on circuit here. We'll see if we can catch him. Here we go. There's Matej Orban, who is in the Volvo 240s. You can see right there as he heads into turn 1. It's a kink to the left, and it heads into a hard braking zone for turn 2. This is a spot for passing, definitely, because you can see it's difficult as these cars are locking the brakes up as they're pushing extremely hard here in practice to try to set a good time. Into turn 3, heavy braking zone again, kind of a little bit downhill as you head around through turn 3 into turn 4, a little slightly uphill, a little bit of curve. You don't want to hit too much as you'll drift to the outside. You come up through a quick kink, which is 5, up over the bridge, and then into 6, which is a double apex to the right. And then you're going to come through 7 and 8, which is a right-left combination. Just a little bit of curve there, a little bit of curve on the left. You don't want to take too much. And then you're going to head into turn 9, which is a very fast, kind of uphill left-hander. Now, this is a long shoot here, kind of considered the back straight, through 10, through 11, basically just a fast, flat-out hairpin, and then you're going to go through the final corner, which is turn 12, an uphill left-hander. Very tricky to get the power down as you head onto the start-finish line straightaway, right up against the wall and down to the start-finish line, and that is a lap around Oran Park. And as you can see, this is not it's definitely not an easy place to overtake from what you can see. And I mean, Liam, what can you see any major spots where people are going to be making a lot of moves?
The only real one I can possibly see is coming out of turn 2, as you said earlier, or maybe come over one of the 2 bridges. I mean, that's really the only opportunistic place to try and get yourself in a slipstream, and it's all going to come down to the capabilities of these cars. Obviously, the Sierras and the Supras maybe feeling a little bit more momentum here. As you can see, Auburn now coming up this hill. It's not a very long straight, but you do have a little bit of opportunity to try and get a draft. Of course, there are a couple of very fast corners following it, but this one really is going to be a lot of pack racing. You're going to see, as the last couple of rounds have shown, a lot of guys similarly paced racing together. You won't see these massive trains or these tiny little duos. You'll see groups of maybe 3 or 4 cars dueling away together, just slipstreaming the entire lap within the dirty air, looking for that one opportunity. This really is a race of racecraft. It's about trying to pick your moment and planting the car firmly, knowing you're going to make the move. If you're not 100% committed to overtaking on this track, it really is going to punish you.
Definitely, these guys. Well, and it's going to be a true test of skills, considering the fact that we're racing here for a total of 46 laps. It's going to be a fairly long race. These guys are going to need to have their strategy down ahead of time. It's not going to be kind of a pick and choose. It's going to be, you need to know what you're doing ahead of time, otherwise you could be giving away some very good track position. As we've now seen sometimes, Eunice Ravio's gone into the 109s. This is the fastest time I've seen so far in practice on the official server here. Eunice Ravio down to the 109.4, followed by Tommy Ohala in the 2nd position. But Ravio looking, there's a lot of guys with the number of these guys who are not racing, like Davis, William Levesque, who's not here as well because of his injury with the moped. He fought a moped loss. Unfortunately, he came out worse of it. The moped's still walking and has both arms. But Levesque will not be racing, nor will Davis. This gives guys like Ravio, Oyala, Tveit, Wiesemuller, Orban, these guys have a chance to make a mark here and possibly steal a race win. But you still have that guy, Jesper Talberg, who's there and could very easily just do what he does best, and that's win races. So we'll see as qualifying comes up. But it looks fairly close as Eric Tveit, never ceasing to amaze us with some entertainment. But Chris, what is your take on this track? I mean, you've raced here a couple times, I believe.
Yeah, a couple of times, but not actually in a league race. If you look at the times at the moment, the top 10 are actually pretty close. I mean, obviously that's spread between qualifying and race pace, but I think the top 10 is going to be pretty close for the entire race. But the advantage that Jesper has got is that we all already know that he can look after his tyres really well, and I think that's going to be the deciding factor for him in this race. Like we've said, there's only a couple of real overtaking opportunities, so it's going to take a brave man to stick it down the inside. But the key thing here is going to be, I think it's turn 11.
Yep.
You know, it's very, very easy to get that wrong, and you know, you could end up in the gravel and end your race through there if you're not careful. So key thing here really is going to be looking after your tyres, keeping it on the black stuff.
Definitely. Really. Yeah, I mean, it's always wise to keep it on the black stuff for sure. And I've actually had noticed in practice a few times where there are some kill zones on this track where, like, especially coming up to the bridge, where if you get out of shape going up the hill, you got walls to either side of you, and it's those are the kinds of things. Those tires that you see there, they're not made out of rubber. Your car's not bouncing off them. They're solid, and you are done. When you get into one of those tires, you literally are going to tear off something off that car. As we'll watch Dave come up over, as I was saying, just he's going to be coming up and around here. And if you get a little out of shape, say you just break loose and you get off to the left, those tires in that wall is not going to forgive you, and that's the race over. So these guys got to be very careful. And as their stints go on and their tires do tend to start to wear, they got to be very aware of that. But we just saw Jeff Dobbing actually do a full pit stop, and you can really see that a ton of time to be lost in the pits, which means that strategy is key. And if these guys decide that they want to pit, or they want to pit twice or once, the the time spent in pit lane is not a massive amount of time. So we could see some very different strategies here. We'll see how that plays out as we are headed into qualifying here. So unlimited laps. We've got qualifying. Is there any predictions here other than Jesper Tallberg?
I don't know, I would like to go for an underdog, really. I mean, I'd like to see someone perhaps such as John Munro, Eric Tveit, maybe even Wiesemüller. He's shown great pace during practice, collecting up P4. I'd love to see him take a first pole position of the season, so I'm still pretty open, but I really would like to see an underdog this afternoon.
And Chris, any predictions other than Jesper?
I'm going to stick my neck out, and I'm going to say Ravio.
Ravio? All right, I like it. I was thinking the same too. I'm really rooting for him because he's shown some pace. But again, you know how hard it is. Jesper's quick all the time.
He is, but I think the 635 has definitely got the pace, and I think the Super probably isn't the quickest car of on that. But what Jesper has managed to do really well with the Super, you know, like we keep saying, is just looking after the tyres, and that's what's giving him the advantage. And we've seen him a couple of times this season be out qualified, so it can definitely be done here.
Well, we've also got Tveit lurking in the background, and that is the only driver this season who has been able to dethrone Jesper Tallberg, who actually essentially was on for a perfect season by taking every win this season. So we've got some potentials here. Ravio, Tveit, Oyala would love to take a pole here. There's no doubt about that. Wiesemüller for sure, or Orban, definitely. We've got Tallberg, who is obviously just the guy to beat. There's no doubt about it, and he only needs a sixth place finish here to clinch the championship with one more full round to go. So we're on board with Jonas Ravio as he's going to see if he can set the fastest time here in qualifying, just like he did in practice in the 6.35 as he comes through what is turn 3 up into turn 4. Keep it nice and tight, not get into too much curb, up through 5, just a little wide, get a little wiggle off there, up over the bridge, into 6, nice, really tight line there, using all the racetrack, not wasting anything, a little wide though, going into, in through 7 and 8, it ended up messing up his entry into 7, so this is going to affect his time coming through the rest of this lap, up through 8, or sorry, that's 9, he's going to come through 10, 11, up over the right, the left, he's going to try to keep the car nice and straight, and then in through 12, final corner of the lap. Let's see what Jonas Ravio can do to set possibly a provisional pole time. As Jonas Ravio comes across the line, it's going to be 4th, a 1:10.267, so not as fast as he would have liked. He definitely lost some time through 6 on the headed into the entry of 7, so he's going to need to fix that, as we've got Jesper Tallberg, the man, the myth, the legend, on pole currently by 3 whole tenths.
Oh, it's exceptional stuff, isn't it? And the thing is as well, I mean, traffic could very well be a key here. As we've said before, this track is very narrow and there aren't too many overtaking opportunities. Turn 2 and 211 are the only real overtaking ones. You can see Jesper over that bridge, and it's so easy to get loose. That hill is very reminiscent, I think, of the one at Lime Rock Park. You get a little bit of air underneath the car, you come in at an angle, and as you said before, you go into those rock-hard barriers, and it can end your lap. And especially in a session as pressurable as this, it really does count to get the best exit possible. Jesper seems to have mastered it at the moment. He's 2 tenths quicker than Eric Tveit in P2. He would love to go a little bit more. He goes on the grass a bit there, just pushing a bit too hard as he comes around the final corner. But the question is he going to beat his previous time? I don't think he's quick enough this time, but you should have to wait and see. He comes across the line. He does not do it though. He's only 6 thousandths off, so he did manage to rescue a few tenths, but nonetheless, Florian Strauss did go purple through that final sector. So I wonder what he can do at the moment. He's going very well, isn't he? Going in towards the 2nd sector now. He's got a little bit of traffic up in front of him. He may snatch a draft though as they come through the almost penultimate corner now. So the question is, reckon Florian's got it under the car? I mean, he's looking competitive, but
yeah,
has he got the car underneath him to take a pole position? Yeah.
As he slides a little bit, he's 4 tenths off. It still would slot him up a fair bit into the, actually quite a ways up. It would drop him into about 5th position right now, provisionally just ahead of Robert Wiesemüller as he crosses the line at a 1:09.9. So 5th position for Florian Strauss currently, as Robert Wiesemüller just is about to start his lap. I believe we saw him into the 1:09s at the end of the session there, or maybe the low 1:10s. So this may be his tipping point for absolute pace, but we'll see. Robert Wiesemüller starting his lap right now, trying to break into the top 5 again, as Florian Strauss just robbed him of that 5th place position, but still plenty of time left, as we got 10 whole minutes left in this qualifying session. Wiesemüller is looking fairly good as he is out there in the Rover, one of the few out in the field. But this Rover, the Rover is the only car this season to have beaten the Supra of Jesper Talberg. So there's something to be said for that car, as Erik Tveit has put it to a win and beaten Jesper Talberg and taken away his perfect season. And I was reminded that Talberg has actually had 5 poles this season. He's been undefeated in qualifying. So, Chris, you're a little off on the qualifying there. I think you may be thinking of another series.
Maybe. I thought Toby had beaten him at Spa, but obviously I've got that the wrong way around.
No, that was when they had the tie, wasn't it?
It could be, yeah.
Yeah, I think they had the tie. It was a tie for Talberg and Talberg and Davis, and then Strauss was only another couple hundreds back.
All right, yeah, my bad.
No, it's all good. Wiesenmuller are going to be crossing the line, not going to improve. It doesn't look like there's been any shakeup in this lineup so far. David Yunt sitting currently in 8th. Bruno Ferreira sitting in 9th. Gary Lennon in 10th. Jay Adji in 11th. Luis Fernandez in 12th. I do feel that because we do have a few absences for this event, we will be seeing quite a bit of action from a lot of guys you may not necessarily see, but this is great for them and definitely gives a chance for friends of these drivers to get a chance to see them race on a big stage like here in the World Touring Masters provided by TouringProSeries. And also big thanks to our sponsor, Sim Racing Hardware, who has provided us with a great prize for this championship. They provide us with some of the custom products that they do create. You should definitely check them out, simracinghardware.com, for all of your sim racing, custom cutting-edge PC racing simulation hardware. They do custom stuff. They also have stuff they do create. And actually, if you look at inside simracing.tv, they have just recently done a review on their product called the Monster. Make sure you check it out. Great stuff. Thanks to Brian Clancy and Sim Racing Hardware for their sponsorship. But back at the racing, it doesn't seem like there's much happening, Liam. I mean, what do you think we're kind of at a standstill, or are people just biding their time?
It could be a mixture of things, really. I mean, people could be just trying to bide their time, as you say, or traffic could be an issue. I mean, we don't know personally. There's some guy could be on a personal best, obviously indicated by the little yellow square next to their name going green. But if a driver does do that, then gets held up by traffic, which is so easy to occur here, then it can just snap away from me like that. You've got to do all that work again, and it always comes down to how much life you've got left in the tyres and the fuel of the car. If you've gone out for a 5-lap stint and you still can't quite hit the best and the peak of your car, you need to pit in again, and it's just going to waste time and time and time. You can see Moss Russell going very wide there. Got it back on track, but it's just so easy to do, and that's just a consequence of what traffic can do to you on this track. And he's already 8/10 down of Jesper Talberg's 1 minute 9.251 in the first sector alone. So traffic has become a much more valuable factor than we first imagined, it seems.
Well, yeah, and Eunice Ravio right now, we just happen to hop on board with him, who is, I believe, just ahead of Ross McGregor. Ravio is only 2/10 off of his current time. Yeah, and Ravio actually pulls off. McGregor carries on through. But Ravio was looking on pace to potentially move up on the grid here. So I'm not sure why he would move out of the way. Maybe he didn't want to give a draft to McGregor, who could potentially pull just ahead of him. But you can see if you took Jesper Talberg out of the equation, it's fairly tight. I mean, you got Tveit, Ravio, McGregor all within a 1/10 and a half. And then just a little further back, you've got another pack of cars: Florian Strauss, Ferreira, Orban, Yunt, Dobbing, Wiesenmuller. Those guys are within 2/10 of a second. So Erik Tveit gone purple in Sector 1. Fairly easy to do, but this is the Rover. This is the only car and only driver to beat Jesper Talberg this season so far in 5 races. Can he do it again?
It's definitely possible, but again, this fact can really shake up some surprises. We've seen it before. Let's see what Tveit can do here. He's purple, as you said. Can he improve? He's coming in towards the final sector of this lap. He's looking so clean from this view. It's fantastic to watch. Just hitting every apex as smooth as he possibly can. No extra grass taken. He's just using all the track and as much as it will allow him to as he goes over the crest of the hill now. Takes the other curve. Little bit of a slide there as he comes around. It's just 0.003 of a second away. It's a much improved time here by Erik Tveit. A little bit of a twitch out the final corner, and that may cost him valuable time as he comes down the straight. And he does improve,
not quite.
but just almost 2/10 in it now. He's got that gap down by almost 2/10 of a second. But can he find a further 2/10? It's so rewarding yet so mentally demanding. Is a big slide there. You take so much time out, you give it your all on a lap, you think you've got the job done, and one tiny mistake at the end of it, it really can throw you off guard, but he's got to take the positives. 5 minutes left, but I don't think we've still seen the best of Erik Tveit yet.
No, I still think we've got some more to come, but Tveit definitely not just going quietly here. He's fighting back. But Jesper Tolberg, I know he's gone even quicker. He's gone to a 109.139. We haven't even noticed. He's just silently just getting quicker and quicker and quicker. It's incredible how much quicker he's getting. It's unbelievable. Tolberg just quietly doing a job that he's done so many times before, and just kind of closing the last portion of this championship out the way he started it, in kind of a dominating fashion. But Tolberg is just the man to beat right now, as the Tveit going out on track trying to get another time, and Jonas Rauvio just going to be starting a lap. So let's see if he can answer here. Rauvio, we're going to ride on board with him for a hot lap, but it's imperative to get turn 1 and 2 right. This is the quick left. It's kind of a flick left into a hard braking zone. Really tricky to do. If anyone's driven a track that has a corner like that, the car's already unsettled because you're kind of transferring weight through the first flick. As Rauvio comes through, he's already lost just over a tenth through just 2 turns, and it just kind of amplifies as the rest of it comes along here. But if he can manage to put the rest of the circuit together, he could improve, but I don't know if he's going to get Erik Tveit. Oh, okay, sorry guys, we got to get on board with Erik Tveit.
I was going to say, he's got to be able to get Erik Tveit, but he's just taken a tenth out of Tolberg's time. He said he may not be able to catch him. Tveit not be able to catch his own time at this rate. He's done a sterling job. He comes over the bridge. You'll see what I mean as the car goes weightless for a split time over the bump, and he's taken that absolutely perfectly as he comes around that one. Again, he's just very clean, very mature as a driver. He's not aggressive over the curves, but a big slide there, as I said that, just commentators curse. And you see what I mean there, just it's a very fast flowing section. You make one tiny mistake and the car, as you said, just gets unsettled, but he's still 6,000 of a second quicker, and he's throwing the car around now. he's wrestling it around the final corner. He's gone wide.
He's gone too deep. That's gonna that cost him. That's gonna be like half a second. Just that one mistake. He's literally on the edge to get that time. Look at how much time he lost a second in one corner, Liam. One corner. And now, Chris, I want to ask you this. You've been in these spots before, driving the Sierra, which is very well known as being a car that literally has to be on the edge at all times to get the most speed out of it. When you're pushing, you can see what Erik's doing here. What is it like when you're pushing that hard and trying to get those couple tenths?
Your heart's in your mouth, really. But you know, that's the skill of these cars to extract the maximum, and that's something that the Sierras have struggled with during the races, because to be on the pace you have to be pushing on the limit, but then doing that you're absolutely ruining the tyres. I think Erik can do it, in all honesty. I mean, he's got a lot of time up in the first sector over Jesper. If he can just keep that final sector tidy, then you might see him on pole.
That would be a fantastic result for Tveit to pull it off, and I know he's not actually feeling the greatest today, but Tveit does have a big picture in mind. He does also have the potential to take second in this championship, maintain second and be the runner-up for this championship, which would be his best overall finish in a championship in his history in running with Touring Pro Series. But you can see that he's definitely making the time up in Sector 1. He's losing a little bit through 2, and then this third sector is where he just needs to keep it all together. So if he can somehow manage to pull one of these laps together, I think we're going to see a pole position out of Tveit. And I mean, in all honesty, if he could maintain 2 tenths under Tolberg, that would put him into the 108s, which is would be a phenomenal lap.
Oh, it really would. But it's something you wouldn't really write off though, would you? 1 minute 20 to go, and it really is desperation time now. Tveit, this could be his final attempt, or he should get across the line one more time, providing there isn't a mistake. But again, that car's on the very edge of a knife. Just tilt it back a little, and it's going to all fall apart in front of you. You've got some traffic up ahead. You've got to be wary of a very hard charging Erik Tveit right now. And he's a little bit slower through the opening complex than he would have liked as he comes in towards turn 3 and 4, but he's still 3,000 quicker. There's virtually nothing between these two, and it's so intense to watch right now. spectators on the edge of their seats. Rectify, I'm sure, as Chris said, heart-in-mouth situation here. He knows he's got the pace. He's just trying to hook it all up, and it's the hardest thing to do when you know you've got that pace there. You take all the optimal sectors, and you're about 2/10 quicker, but it's stringing them all together and put it into one perfect package, which is what really makes you a great sim racer. And Eric is struggling to do that now as he comes in towards the final section of this circuit, and he's really throwing it round right now. The question is he's 4/10 down, and he's lost so much time, but he's got one more attempt, and he's pulled over.
He's going to give himself some room.
Let a car through.
This is the only way he's going to be able to do it. As Florian Strauss just goes into P4, moving Yunus Raubio back into 5th. So Tveit is going to look to do it one last time here as he crosses the line. Sector 1 is where he makes his time. He needs to be 2/10 up on Thalberg right now if he's going to have any shot at this, because he's losing that amount of time in the last 2 sectors. As he goes wide, I can tell you he's not as clean through there as he should have been. I don't think he's going to do it, and it's amazing that in just 2 quick corners, as I just eat my words. It's amazing though, as two corners can literally determine what your lap's going to be like, and he's going to need to be purple through Sector 2 to even have a shot, because it seems that Sector 3, Thalberg has literally destroyed the field in so far in this qualifying. 6/100ths of a second now separate them provisionally. Tveit looking to close. This seems to be on just a ragged edge here at all times in this Rover, but this is going to make for a great race watching Tveit race against Thalberg, because he's only 1/10 down on the Thalberg, and he loses it, and that is going to be the end of the challenge for the Iceman, Jesper Thalberg, as he is going to cross the line. This car right here, this Supra, has been the one that everyone has been chasing this season. Castrol-sponsored Supra has been the one. That's pretty well what everyone's been seeing this season is the back bumper of that car as he pulls into the pits. Probably going to go grab a bottle of champagne and do a little early celebrating. But no drinking and virtual driving, Jesper. We're going to head to warm up. We'll give you a rundown of the grid. We will be back with you in just a moment. And we are back live from Oran Park for the 6th round of the World Touring Masters. We are here to see what we can do with this championship. Jesper Talberg has been the dominant force the entire season. He is going to be the man to, potentially clinch this championship here. And once again, he is up on top of the leaderboard for the start of this race. And Liam's going to run you quickly through the grid, and we'll have it through here.
Yes, so once again, Jesper Talberg takes the pole position in the World Touring Masters, but barely. Barrick to White, it could have been so different in the closing stages, but he just could not get the lap together. So the Rover driver starts in P2. Ross McGregor, who's contending for a potential 3rd place or 2nd in the championship, starts in P3 in front of Hunas Rivio, who's had a great run so far, ever improving. Be great to see what he can bring to the table this afternoon. Florian Draus having an impressive 5th position in the BMW, starts in front of Tommy O'Hala in 5th position. 7th is Gary Lennon, and a great run in the Toyota in front of Mateus Orban and Bruno Sousa Ferreira in P9. Robert Wiesemüller comes down in a disappointing 10th for his standards in front of David Yunt, Jeff Dobbing and Alberto Aznaghi, who rounds out the top 13. Luis Fernandez starts in 14th position in front of Scotsman John Munro. Jay Agnew starts in 16th in front of Lee Palmer in 17th and Anders Nilsson in 18th. 19th place, Kevin Enderman in the Nissan Skyline GTR in front of Tony Matthews, who rounds out the top 20, and Ika Roding in P21. 22nd is Tomasz Mazuski, Ethan Bass is 23rd, and Andy Bernard is 24th. Bradley Vanian sits in a lonely 25th position in front of Jonathan Offlin, Tristan Clark, and Ollie Marius Marivold.
Yeah, and 29th was Matt Emmons, who just did not quite make the 105%. We do have a rule for that. Now, one thing I did want to note is that from 24th back to 28th is very, very close. We've got, look at how close it is between those guys. So you got from even 23rd to 28th is going to be only separated by 0.3. So I'm sure these guys are going to be having a great battle back there and having definitely some fun here at Oran Park. But we are done now with this grid, and we are going to be headed into the start of this race, where we could potentially see a new race winner possibly, but everyone still again has to beat man that seems to be sometimes unbeatable, and that's Jesper Talberg. So we follow along with Strauss, just getting into the back of another 635 there. But now these guys are figuring out, okay, what fuel, they've got to have their strategies in mind. We could potentially see pit stops here in this race. 46 laps of racing, roughly at about 1:10. We're going to see roughly about just under an hour of racing. So we will see the start of this race coming very, very shortly. Any predictions for the winner, guys?
On paper, you'd have to say Jesper Talberg, wouldn't you? I mean, there's nothing greater than seeing a champion being crowned, winning a race. It really is a stupendous sight to see. But again, Eric Devine looked very hungry, and it's also during peak. So can he transfer it into the race? I'd like to see a second Eric Devine victory during this debut season in the WTM, so we'll have to see what he can do. But on paper, you'd have to say the Iceman Jesper Talberg.
And Chris?
Well, I'm getting a bit sick of seeing Jesper at the top, to be honest with you. Obviously, as his team boss, I like to see him win. But in terms of the show, I'd like Eric Devine to win. It'd be really good for him.
All right.
Second win this season.
Well,
I think.
we've got the time is now out. We've got the lights going away. They're going to be going away for just a rolling start to come around and line up at the grid once again. So they're going to do one slow warm-up lap here, line back up once again, and then we'll see a standing start from all of these cars here. So you can see it's a great shot as these guys are heading down into turn one. And actually, Chris had just kind of noted to me, just handed me a note saying that turn one is going to be dangerous, and it is. And we've seen how difficult it is for just one driver to get through there, let alone one of 28. And as people pile in, people dropping wheels, the dust settles up. There's going to be dust kicked up front. The guys a little further back are going to be struggling to get through those corners.
Yeah, they will. And again, a field this big with a track this tight, who's only asking for fireworks, really. It's just really about spatial awareness and not wanting to throw your race away during the opening few corners. You've got to be in it to win it, as the saying goes. So the last thing you want to do is get yourself involved in a silly mistake which could have been easily avoided. And that will be heavily on the minds of these drivers as they flow around Oran Park.
It's kind of setting the stage for how the season's gone is the fact that the only 2 race winners this season are starting both first and second. And also they're sitting first and second in the championship. So it's quite a setting stage. And also the other fact is that Ross McGregor is sitting in third with Toby Davis out. Essentially, Ross McGregor will be third in the championship as long as he finishes this race. So as long as he finishes in the points. Excuse me. So really, 1, 2, 3 in points starting 1, 2, 3. The only 2 race winners sitting 1, 2. It's just kind of a stroke to how this championship's gone this season, as these guys are going to line up here. Eric Tveit giving it a little bit of a show to warm his tires up. We are going to see these guys get about they get some time to line up their cars as we'll quickly pop through the grid. As you can see, the final car there is Olmarius Mirvold in that big pink Holden lining up. They're going to be lined up here as we're going to look back from Jesper Talberg as we're going to head into turn 1. We're going to wait to see these guys. The lights are going to have to go out for these guys to get the green flag. There we go, and the lights away. It's green flag at Oran Park for the 6th round of the World Touring Masters. Talberg is away cleanly, but Eric Tveit is taking the lead. He's around him on the outside into turn 1. It's going to be a left-hander into another left. Talberg has relinquished the lead, and Tveit has taken over. A little further back, it looks fairly clean as Talberg just follows in behind Tveit. Not too hasty. He knows that all he needs is a 6th place finish, but everyone else slots in. McGregor's into 3rd. Oyala up to 4th. Mate Orban into 5th. Ravio back to 6th. Strauss dropping back the most from 4th to 7th. These guys are keeping it fairly clean. It seems to be fairly clean the whole way through.
Oh, it's been a great start by Tveit, Anthony, but you've got to remember, Jesper Talberg may have surrendered that position. He only needs to finish in P6 realistically, and of course he just wants to try and bring that championship home and do as much as he possibly can. He does not want to throw away an easy championship win here. He just wants to try and keep the car on track and finish in some big points. And Ross McGregor will be looking to get himself a great result. He's had a great start so far. In front of Tommy Ohala, Matthias Orban up to P5, Ravio dropped down to 6th, Florian Strauss 7th. It's been a good start by the field so far, very clean as well. As they come around the final corner for the first time, it's Eric Tveit who leads. He's going to get it done in qualifying, but can he transpire it and get it done during the race? 0.7 separate them after lap 1.
Yeah, we're on board with Yunus Ravio as Mate Orban just sits in front of him. We've got the Volvo 240, followed by the 635 of Ravio. Turn 1, turn 2, he looks down the inside. Oh, he's got a little bit of contact, slides it sideways, gets a hold of the car. Oh, it's a tight spot to be doing that so early in the race. Full of fuel, cold tires. Ravio thinks better of it, keeps the car together. But Orban does smart to keep the car in shape. But that car just in front is the Season 2 champion that was driven by Peter Duivelaar. As he slides that thing around through turn 3 and up and over the bridge. But a little further back, let's see what's going on back here. We've got David Yunt followed by Wiesemuller, Aznagi, Palmer. These guys, this is going to be where, I think this is where we're going to see the most action here today, is we're going to see between the 9th to about the 16th spot. As you can see, these guys are just literally a train of cars snaking around here at Oran Park, up and down, up and down. These guys are just looking for that moment to pounce.
Yeah, and the thing is as well, we're coming in towards the end of the season now. If you want to make an impression and set your name in stone here in the WTM, get yourself a top 10. This is the place to do it, and Lee Palmer's not going to like that, and he goes a bit deep. Somehow holds on to that one, but just behind him, John Munro takes advantage of an error from Bruno Salza Ferreira, and he's got a great view of Bruno's car right now. I want to shake that one as soon as he can as they come in towards turn 1 once again. And already, as you said, that battle really intensifying right now. Munro seems to keep impressing audiences in every series he drives in. He would love a top 10 here today, as would the likes of Lee Palmer and Bruno Salza Ferreira. So a lot to play for, and some are probably the most exciting guys to watch on circuit as well. So couldn't ask for a more great battle as Lee Palmer tries to navigate his way past, I think that's Aznagi there in P11.
Yeah, he's
picking up.
He's running around in the BMW. Oh, and Lee Palmer, the commentators curses, he's wide right towards the bridge, and he saves it. He just manages to save it coming around that bridge. That's what we were talking about right there, how dangerous it is getting into those tires. Bruno Sousa Ferreira is 14th. These guys, this is a huge battle back here. But just a little further up front, I just want to catch this because it does look like it's heating up. You've got Florian Strauss on the back of Yunus Ravio after having a fairly poor start, who did start 4th position, has fallen back all the way to 7th just in the matter of a couple of laps as Eric Tveit goes fastest lap, and then Jesper Talberg answers immediately with a 1:10.115, and basically saying, Eric, it's just a matter of time. That's kind of the statement that Talberg's trying to make here.
Yeah, almost anything you can do, I can do better. As we've said so many times before, Tolberg does not need to be diving every corner, ducking and weaving, trying to find the opportunity. All he's got to do is put his car firmly behind Tveit and hopefully wait for the error to come to him. But Tveit is probably used to seeing the back of Tolberg's car right now and the front of it, and probably the sides of it as well. The amount needs to have battled over the past few races. I'm sure that Tveit is matured enough to try and keep that car at bay, but the question is for how long if Tolberg keeps lapping faster. At back, of course, in 14th position, you've got Bruno Sousa Ferreira and what seems to be called the Bruno Brigade at the moment. You've got a lot of cars all trying to navigate their way through as that long train begins to extend now, and that's what, as you said before, where most of this action is going to take place. As you can see him trying to catch up to Lee Palmer now, who made a little bit of a slide there. Shouldn't be too costly to the gap overall, but as they come in towards the final part, a bit of a lock-up again, and you're just going to be careful. If you make a tiny error here, not only can it be punishing to yourself, but you've got a lot of cars behind you. Waiting capitalises, Eric Tveit capitalises well with a 1 minute 10.042, almost a tenth quicker than what Tolberg could manage last time. The gap now 0.7 once again, what it was on lap 1. So the gap there teetering at the moment, back and forth between the two. But Tolberg keeping with him. He's not letting him escape with this one, is he?
No, he's definitely not. And I would almost say, Chris, maybe you could give us an answer here. More than likely, Tolberg is going to go no stop, correct?
I don't know. I haven't spoken to him, but if, judging by his other races, I think he probably will do.
Yeah, because it seems to be that has been his strategy the whole way through, and that is one of the reasons that he's been able to be so successful, is that he doesn't need to pit and he just gets that extra time. Now, if he's lapping this fast already, and he's not planning to pit, then I think it's just a matter of time before Tolberg will take over, because Tveit will cook his tires off with that Rover, will he not?
Well, I think so, yeah. And Jesper's definitely just pacing himself at the moment. I'm just watching him on board at the moment on my screen, and he's just so smooth around the track. And Eric is actually he's getting the back of the car out sideways quite a lot, so he needs to cut that out. Otherwise, he's going to, like you said, he's going to cook his rear tyres. And Jesper might not even need to take advantage of the pit stop to get past him. We might get past him on the track if Eric carries on doing this. Well,
and Eric's already just did a 1:10.534, so a half a second difference from his fastest lap, which was just a lap ago. But back live again, we're here on board with Alberto Asnaghi. He's trying to defend against John Munro on the outside, the Sierra and the M3. You can see the differences in power. And just a little ways back, you got some cars sliding around. So you got, you got Bruno Sousa Ferreira just literally putting on a one-man show here. But the M3 of Asnaghi seems to be, you can see, is the smoothness, very good cornering, good on the tires, as you cut the cars behind him just dancing around. And this is a great battle between these four drivers, but you'd almost think that Asnaghi is holding up this train of cars as Munro is hounding the back of Asnaghi, and it may be just a matter of time till he can get a good run down the front straightaway and get by.
Yeah, and you can tell, look how feisty John Munro is right now, trying to find anything he possibly can to get that car past. You've got a very handy Palmer there as well. One mistake by one of those guys in the train, as you said, that's 4 positions down the train, and it's the last thing you want to do. And whilst overtaking is rare on this circuit, you don't want to go diving and trying to take unnecessary risks, and that was almost one there. And Munro, I think, would have definitely sent his car at the inside if given the momentum.
This is the speed here. Look at the Sierra. This is what I was talking about. It's going to get a run. He's all in. Look at the defending by Asnaghi as he goes to the inside. A little cheeky move. Just takes the lane away, but they're going to go left and left. Asnaghi, you can see how stable that M3 is. John Munro's got to try to find a way by, utilize the speed of that Sierra, and just make his way through, because obviously he's got the pace right now.
He has, but you've got to be careful though. The last thing you want to do is keep going for these big manoeuvres, because every time you do, like Butcher has said before, that you do start to wear their tyres out if you lock up, and it's the last thing, especially because as a driver you get annoyed as well. Every time you don't make a move, or as Nagi goes for one of those epic kind of defensive manoeuvres, you begin to get frustrated with yourself, that you know you've got speed but you can't do it. And the more you get frustrated, the more little mistakes you make, and the more little mistakes you make, the more chance of one big one you can make, and then of course that leads to a possible race-ending incident, and that's the last thing we want to see right now. It's so important to keep composure. As you can see, Lee Palmer's doing a good job right now as he sets his sights on the back of John Munro, but will he be able to carry that momentum through as they come in towards the end of the lap once again? And John Munro trying to send his car on the inside once again. Well, no, he'll have that straight line advantage, but I think Asnaghi may have covered that very well, swooping across John Munro and slamming the door shut before the opportunity opened, as now the train carries on to duel away on lap 8 already of 46, so the lap's flying by. And you've got to really think about pits.
Oh, he's sideways! John Munro!
Can he save save it. No, he's going to skip across the curb. He's got it.
He didn't lose too much. He did not lose too much. Considering where he lost control of that car, I got to give him credit for actually keeping the car together. He only lost 2 positions, so well done to John Monroe. But Chris, you can attest to how much that would heat those tires up.
Oh, a lot, definitely, and he's got to be really careful now, because it's going to be much more easy to lose the back end of the car again, and heat up the tyres even more, and obviously that's just a vicious cycle. So he just needs a couple of laps to just keep it calm, cool the tyres back down again before he can go back on the attack and get those positions back. Yeah, definitely, and Chris being a Sierra. Well, let's say aficionado, I guess. I don't even know if that's the right word, but oh, look, sideways, as we're talking about going sideways. Lee Palmer getting just a little bit loose through 11. These guys are all on the hunt for Alberto Aznaghi. Aznaghi is the guy who is just kind of just pacing himself. He's in the M3, not so much power, but his car is very smooth through these corners, and that's what's keeping him up there, because you don't see him sliding around too much, as I may speak too soon. You were thinking the same thing. Sorry to interrupt you, Keith. We've got a great battle between Strauss and Oran up at the front here. All right, let's check that out. Strauss, oh, definitely. This is what we saw this coming for a little while. Strauss, who started 4th, it dropped back to 7th on the start of this race, as now you can look back from Orban's car. Strauss is good all over the back of him. Strauss is our one of the most decorated V8 drivers in the Virtual V8 Championship. He is a Virtual V8 champion from season 3. He's going to be looking to get through on Matej Orban here early on the 10th lap, trying to make back the spot that he lost early in this race.
Yeah, let's see what he can do down the straight, and I don't think he's quite got that speed advantage, and that's what's going to be really aiding Matej Orban right now as they come back in towards turn 1. He looks to the inside. Orban sees it coming, closes the door, and leaves Florian Strauss again, trying to find something more. He's stuck under that dirty area, of course, and every time you enter a corner, you start to slide a little bit more. The car oversteers a bit more than it normally should, and again, that can really affect your driving style. And Chris, of course, in these sort of situations that Florian's in right now, how important is it to just try and maintain your composure and not go for some sort of aggressive manoeuvre that could risk your race?
It's very important. I've fallen victim to that many times myself. I'm sure you'll you've caught on broadcast before, and in the recent SIWF and Game Stock car as well. But Florian's a master at this. He'll just bide his time and wait for the right opportunity. He's not one of these people that'll just go for silly moves. He just needs to do what he always does, keep his composure, take the opportunity when it arises.
Orban gets a little, as you say that, Orban gets a little slide, and this is when the moment comes, and he just waited for it just long enough. Orban makes the slide, and as you can see, he should have the overlap going into turn 1, as Orban does concede a smart move early on in this race, and Florian Strauss is through into P6.
So we'll see what he can do. A bit of a switch on the exit of turn 2, but it's not going to cost him at all. He's already pulled out a little bit of a gap now to Matej Orban, but can he get it back? He almost looked to the inside there, but just wasn't given the chance. Now you've got to look at Hunes Rivio, not too far up the road, around 1.2 seconds away, so it's definitely within reach for him. Got lap 11 here, out of 46 at Oran Park, so still plenty to play for. So let's see what Florian can do from here. Back at the front, you take a look at the Iceman Jesper Tolberg, currently leading the championship, but not the race. He's 0.6 seconds away from the man who is, that being Eric Tveit. So these two still keeping each other very close company up front, and very much under a second. It's been teetering between around 0.5 and 0.7 since around lap 1, really. It hasn't really gone over a second, so these two definitely evenly paced, but can maybe Jesper get an advantage? Because we've seen in previous races, Eric had a bit of a bad pit stop, which allowed Jesper to get back to the front of the field, and pit stops around this track, as you said before, Keith, you don't lose too much time, so it's imperative that you get it right. Yeah, and if Tveit is going to pit, Tolberg's pace will need to drop off substantially, and I'm seeing more tire smoke from Tolberg in this race than I think I've seen the entire season, and which leads me to believe that perhaps he's pushing because he knows he's going to pit. Now, I'm only just speculating. This is pure speculation.
However, I'm just looking back from Tvite's car. To see tire smoke off of Talberg's car, it means that he is pushing right now. And even Butcher, he's your teammate, you've raced practice with him. You generally don't see any tire smoke off of his car, do you?
Not at all, no, and it is really surprising to see that. And an interesting point at the moment actually is that Eric is lapping quicker than him.
He is, yeah.
By quite a margin actually as well.
And also, I just did get some news from, I don't know, from Matt Richards just informed me that Talberg is intending to pit this race. So this is very great to see, because we do have a battle for this potential 6-round race win, and could potentially see Tvite take another win away from Jesper Talberg. But we're going to get back to the battle that just a little further back, as McGregor and Oyala are in a heavy battling right now. McGregor, who is in a potential run for a top 3 finish in this championship, as Toby Davis is no longer is not running in this event. Oyala is just hounding the back of McGregor. He seems to have closed up fairly quickly, and now McGregor is feeling the heat.
He is indeed, and we'll have to see what McGregor's got in terms of defending right now, because Tommy Oyala is definitely applying that pressure. Over the crest of the hill they come, and you can see just you get a little bit of air underneath the bottom of the car, and it can really throw you off guard, and you can use a lot of time if you have a bit of oversteer through there. But look how close he's squeezing like the back stairs now, and McGregor's not going to like that rear view at all, is he? He'll be trying to avoid what's going on in the rear view mirrors, because right now Tommy has got that car firmly planted and his sights set on that third position, I beg your pardon. So the final podium position is up for grabs. McGregor needs a strong result here today if he wants to take that position in the championship away from Toby Davis. Tommy Oyala is looking just for a strong result to increase his championship position. So the question is, who is the better car and who's got the better momentum around this circuit? Lap 14 in turn 1 we go, and Oyala just doesn't quite have that straight line advantage.
Now they're running the same car, so they're running on the same tire wear, they're running on pretty well everything. It's all going to be on what they chose for fuel, for tires, everything to start this race. But I do want to point out, Mate Orban has slipped a long way down the grid. He's fallen all the way back to 10th, but also, notably, John Monroe has fallen all the way back to 21st position, who we were following in that incredible battle between, it was Monroe as Nagy. So he's lost almost 9 positions as he closes up on the back of Jay Adji, swings down to the inside into turn 1. John Monroe is going to have to climb his way back if he wants to get up to this battle that he was just recently in. Alberto Aznaghi is a total of 13 seconds ahead as Bruno Sousa Pereira enters the pit for his pit stop, does 11 seconds in. And this is the battle we were following a little earlier with Alberto Aznaghi. As Aznaghi was running in a 12th, still runs in 12th, or sorry, Lee Palmer has made his way by. This battle has kind of spread itself out, but Orban losing a number of positions. The battle's still raging between Oyala and McGregor, though.
Yeah, this is really going to get intense as well, especially as we head towards that pit stop window. Oyala must sense that bit of urgency and tries to get past, and he goes very wiggly, doesn't he, behind the rear end, but he can't quite convert it into a move just right. Great defending there by Ross McGregor. He's not budging off that racing line, is he, at all, with a bit of a lock-up again, and allows Oyala to get a bit more momentum as they come up the hill. A bit of a twitch there, though, as they climb it now and again. He gets so close through the corners, but as you said, they're running the same car, the same tyres, and it's so hard to try and find that advantage without Ross McGregor making a noticeable mistake.
Yeah, we just had Olmarius Mirvold has DNF'd. It looks to be just a straight DNF. We also have Ethan Bass was a DNF as well too. So only 2 cars out of this race, 15 laps in. Very good attrition so far, but still quite a ways to go. As just ahead, Talberg has now closed the gap. I think he may have made a decision that he is there and he wants to make this move. He doesn't want to wait any longer.
He doesn't, does he? He's definitely going for it right now. That gap has been slashed in half. 0.3 seconds, and Talberg's really sensing that momentum shift, and look how close he gets going in towards turn 2, and Tvite is going to be under a lot of pressure right now, and he realises this, and just needs to do what McGregor's doing and get that car parked on the inside line. We've said before, there's only realistically 2 overtaking opportunities without an intended mistake by the driver, so as long as you keep your car on the racing line, then he should be okay until Talberg begins to start hammering away once again. But he's really beginning to keep him close company right now, hammer away at those sector times and maybe pop in a couple of fastest laps or 2, and by then Tvite is definitely going to be the man on the defensive. But the question is, how's Talberg got enough in him to pass? because Tveit surely must be looking in terms of a pit stop and wondering if Tolberg's going to stay out on there. We've been known all season that Jesper Tolberg does not really like pitting during the races. He's only done it once or twice, so the last thing he wants to do is risk that here. We know he manages his tyres extremely well, but he may put that to the test now as he may use a little bit more tyre wear than he should to try and get past Erik Tveit. He wants to end his championship bid in style, and he could do that with a race win here today, but nonetheless the gap stays at 0.3 as they complete another lap.
Well, Tolberg is close enough to put enough pressure on Tveit that he may make a mistake, and Tveit has, I would say, in the time I've watched him race, in pressure positions, the mistakes have become less and less and less, and that definitely comes with maturity, as Tveit is very young. Jesper Tolberg is definitely not old by any means. He's very young as well too, but definitely has the race maturity just from all of the high-pressure big events that he has raced in over his career in TouringProSeries and just in general in sim racing. And you can see that Erik Tveit has become more of a well-rounded, more refined racer as he's raced more in the TouringProSeries, beating guys like Tolberg and just putting himself in these positions. But as they come up to some lap traffic, this is where it's going to get a little hairy. As you can see, Tveit goes a little wide. Tolberg takes a bit out of him as he gets really close. So Tveit goes a little safe, but Tolberg attacks a little bit as they go through 10 and 11 there, into final corner, into 12. Gets really close, right up on the back. You can literally taste the Castrol motor oil coming off of that Toyota Supra as they head down the start-finish line straightaway. On lap 18 now, we are going to be facing pit stops. If they're coming from these guys, which I do believe they will be, we're going to be looking at around lap 21 or so for a pit stop, and they should be fairly quick, so I don't think you're going to see too much of a change as long as both of these guys are pitting.
We will, but of course nothing is set in stone here in the World Touring Masters, and that's been said so many times before, and for good reason. He's almost pushing him round now, isn't he, as he's coming towards the hill one more time. Tveit doing a good job of holding that line, but it could be noticeable. The gap between McGregor and Oyala is staying the same as well, so they're currently separated by 4 tenths. The gap here though is half that, and it's 2 tenths at the moment, and Tolberg's just not shifting, is he? I mean, you see some guys when they go on the aggression here, just maybe try a couple of manoeuvres, try a different couple of corners, see where Tveit does take the defensive line and see if you can work around it. But Tveit is just not budging, and this is a bit of lap traffic there. Almost ended up a bit messy.
Oh, that was
for these two. They ended up okay, but
Tveit, you can see, is really on the edge right now, because you can see when he gets into those acceleration spots, exiting corners, and also into the braking zones, it's just wiggling just that little bit more than he was at the start of this race, and it almost looks remnant of what he was going through in qualifying, trying to get that pole, because he's pushing that hard to keep him behind him. And Tolberg doesn't seem to be swaying. Like, if you look back now, it seems like Tolberg's just toned it back a little bit. He's got the car under control, as Tveit did a 1:11.4 that lap by. It's just not fast enough to keep the Iceman behind him, I don't think, at this present time.
No, it's not, and he's going to have to find something more than that. However, last time round the gap did extend to 0.4 seconds, as you can see on your screen. We'll see how that transpires as they go through Sector 1 very shortly, and kicking up a bit of dust there does Erik Tveit. A bit of an uncharacteristic slide by Tolberg, but nothing too major, as he just gets ever closer to the back of Erik Tveit. And as we said before, he's just not budging, and he's just keeping his car on that line. All he's got to do is wait for the pressure, senses the momentum there, and this is what vintage Jesper Tolberg does. Keeps his car there, doesn't go for move, just keeps his presence there, almost like a bad entity. And then of course the driver in front will get a little bit scared, frightened, and eventually buckle to some pressure. And the theory works, which is why he's the most successful driver in all of TouringProSeries.
Tolberg
he's in the pits though.
Tolberg is into the pits from second position. I think he's trying
to pass the car.
Let's just see how his pit's going to go. Tolberg is not a stranger to pit stops, being the ATCC champion, where the pit stops are forced. He knows how to get in and get out. Pit stops are quite a bit different. 8.4 seconds held in the pits, doing everything he needs to get out. As he flies out of the pits, he's going to slot back into the 6th position. Now, this is the hard part, though. This is the hard part with the leapfrog, Liam. And when you take that chance, if you now are stuck behind drivers who are not going to give you leeway, and there's no reason for drivers to move out of the way. You're racing for position. Gary Lennon, he's right now on the back of him. They're both driving Supras, but doesn't mean they're teammates. But as Gary Lennon's a gentleman, and a Scotsman. He makes way and gives Jesper Tolberg room. Now this does help Jesper, because what this allows him to do is get a clean break on his outlap, and if he can nail this outlap, he may actually take this spot away from Erik Tveit, as I would assume we're going to see him go into the pits here, so he doesn't lose too much time. As Eric Tveit comes up, let's see if he's going to enter the pits. It looks like he's going.
He does.
Eric Tveit into the pits, so the leader into the pits. Oh, what a slide nearly into the pit wall. Is Eric Tveit, does he nail his marks? He's in. Let's see how long he's going to take, and let's hop on board with Tallberg as he is going to come down the start-finish line straight away. Let's see what we got as he comes around. Let's hop on board. Where's Eric Tveit? 8.3 seconds. Let's see as Eric Tveit is coming out of the pits. He comes in. He's got it. He's on the line. No.
Got it.
And Jesper Tallberg.
No,
he doesn't. Eric Tveit holds on to the lead. Eric Tveit is still leading Tallberg, trying to make it through. These guys have literally done a perfect in and out. And look at this, back at it, fresh tires. Another 21 laps to this.
The advantage Jesper's got. Sorry, go on, Liam.
I was saying, this is absolutely incredible, and Tallberg now is going to feel a little bit annoyed. He thought he had the job done, he thought he had it cleared, he got a great outlap. Gentleman of Gary Lennon moved out of the way, he had every advantage, yeah, but still, Tveit will not relinquish that lead without a fight, and this is going to be a thrilling second half of the race.
Well, I know, Chris, I think you were going to be saying about the advantage with the heat, right?
That's exactly what I was going to go on to say, but the problem we're going to have now as Eric gets his tyres up to temperature is we've seen that down the straight, Eric's car is a lot quicker, and Jesper, if he's going to make a move, I don't think he's going to do it on the brakes. He's going to have to do it in the middle part of the lap, and that's going to be really tricky.
Yes, absolutely. And look at the lap traffic these guys have got coming ahead. Like, if you hop on board right now and you have a look from the front of Eric Tveit's car, this is a sea of cars ahead. Like, we're talking, I see 5 cars. I see 5 cars ahead. So you got, all right, well, they're through one. Ross McGregor into the pits and out. Look at this sea of cars ahead of them. They're going to have to weed their way through. Everyone's given room. Very nice, gentlemanly things to do. Just clearing way. We have Ohala has just spun. Ohala has just spun from. Let's see what happens. See if we can catch that on a replay. He was in the top 3. Let's see. As he is, that was him out front of these guys coming out of the pits. Let's see if we can catch that. He locks up in through turn 1. We're not going to quite catch it. He just goes off. Possibly a graphics lockup, maybe? Not too sure, but Tommy Ohala spins from the top 3 position, so very unfortunate there. We've got Eric Tveit and Jesper Tallberg still. Look at how close they are. Tallberg is not giving an inch of room to Eric Tveit. He is showing him that he wants this spot and he wants it now. He doesn't want to wait for it.
No, he really needs it now. He thought, as we said, he had it done, and when something like that happens, no matter what driver or what position you're in, it really can grind your gears, if you pardon the pun there. But going in towards turn 1 now, Jesper must feel that urgency. We may see different sides to Jesper. We normally see a very calm, very collected driver. We could see maybe a more aggressive Jesper Tallberg here. Maybe someone who's willing to risk that little bit more. Of course, he doesn't need a massive result here to take the championship, but he would love to go out, as we say, with a bang. We've still got a race after this one, but he would love to secure it today here at Oran Park. But to do that properly, though, he wants to get past Eric Tveit and do it by securing a victory.
Yeah, and Tallberg. So, we'll hop back on with these guys because I just noticed Robert Wiesenmuller just passed David Young for 5th. This is a provisional, obviously, because there's still some pit stops to be had. Florian Strauss, Judas Ravio, who are 1-2, do still need to take a pit stop. So we will see them drop back into the mix of these drivers here, as David Young is in 6th, Mate Orban in 7th, who could potentially slot in with these guys, Strauss and Ravio, as he must have pitted a little earlier than these guys, or maybe not pitted at all. We're not too sure yet. But Ross McGregor in 8th, as Eric Tveit says, the fastest lap of the race with a 1:10.024. So Eric Tveit on a mission, looking to take another race win away from Jesper Tallberg here in the championship that seems to have been his the whole way through. As Mate Orban into the pits, McGregor taking the spot from him. McGregor up into 7th. So Mate Orban in the pit. Lee Palmer, Alberto Aznaghi, Gary Lennon, Anders Nilsson having a run back up. Tommy Ohala in 13th, who did spin, was in the top 3, is going to have his work cut out for him to come back through this field here. As we now see John Monroe, who was in 14th, just crossing the line, 44 seconds back. But who was that up? Lee Palmer. Lee Palmer is off in through the turn 1 complex. Let's see if we can see what happened here as he comes through the turn 1, just slides off. We said how difficult that corner is. Very easy to happen. Lee Palmer dropping back a significant way back into 13th position. very unfortunate for him.
Yeah, and I really want to try and rectify that. It was going so strong for him as well. He would love to try and get in the top 10, but to do that now, he's going to fight his way back past Matej Orban, back past Anders Nilsson. Of course, I believe Anders is still yet to pit, and Tommy Oyala as well, so a lot to go here.
Yunus Ravio into the pit. Sorry to interrupt there, Liam. Yunus Ravio pitting from what was the lead. Tallberg and Tveit are now closing in on Florian Strauss, who could potentially be on a no-stop strategy. But you can see that Yunus Ravio does a 10-second pit stop. These guys, Tveit and Tallberg, have their pit stops down. They did it in 8.3 seconds. So these guys obviously have done their work. Robert Wiesemuller 8.5, David Yunt 8.2. It's all about your practice and getting these things right. This battle up front has not really slowed down much, but the gap has opened quite a little bit, though. Oh, it's Strauss.
Indeed. Oh, yes, Florian Strauss taking a bit of a scenic route over the curbs, and I believe that through goes Jesper Tolberg. So I'm sure that was for the better, because the last thing you want to do is come out back in front of Jesper Tolberg and cause some sort of incident. But the main thing is that he has retained that P3. Yunus Ravio, of course, after pitting in, is now 17 seconds adrift. So Florian Strauss's race has really taken a great run here, and he's not too far away from the top two others. So if those two get locked in battle once again, what if Florian Strauss pulls into the pit lane? So maybe Yunus Ravio could maybe get a big advantage here due to the spin earlier on, but we should have to wait and see how much that has dampened his racing spirit, as we see once again, there you see Yunus Ravio. He's going to easily get past him, isn't he?
Oh yeah, he's through for sure. He's definitely through. They're definitely going to be through, because with Strauss driving off. But this now leaves Ravio in the clutches of Ross McGregor. Ross McGregor is looking to possibly take a top 3 finish here. And he is looking to close out this championship with still just Bathurst to go, and potentially leave here with a 3rd place overall in this championship, which would be a great result for him here in the Touring Pro Series. But one thing to note is that our leaders, Erik Tveit and Jesper Tolberg, Tveit will slow down a little more than Tolberg. As we saw at the end of the first stint, just before they pitted, Tolberg had the advantage on Tveit, if we both recall here. He was all over the back of him, and Tolberg decided to pit to try to get the undercut on him. Now, it didn't work out for him. However, he's got to know that by the end of this stint, he will be the quicker of the two cars. But he needs to keep him within check, because right now Tveit has a 1.1 second gap, and I think Tveit may be wise to that as well, and trying to take advantage of that and pull away.
Yeah, indeed he will, and I'm sure he's already got a second over Tolberg already, and of course that pit stop hasn't really gone to plan for him. As we said before, we saw Jesper Tolberg finally take the lead of the race, but yet Erik Tveit had just held on so well and given it everything he's got, and he's literally looking like he's headed for a second victory of the season, and I'm sure he could be hot shot of the year if there was such an award. There's a big slide there through Tolberg as he goes over the crest of the hill, and you can just see how hard he's pushing now. This is very what I think to be uncharacteristic from Tolberg. As we said, we used to see him so calm and collected in his car, and you're just seeing a lot more of a wrestling spirit now. He's flinging the car around the corners, but he's confident in its ability. He knows he can hang on to it, he's not going to lose it. It is helping him. The gap that was a second is now 0.6, and he really is hammering down those sector times. But in turn, of course, if he does burn those tyres, that's going to be the consequence.
Yeah, and I don't know if I don't think I've seen Jesper blow a corner like that in quite some time. He made up half a second, then lost it. So obviously he's leaving it all on the table. He knows the championship is pretty well his. He just needs to finish in the top 6. Right now, this is just for the glory. This is Jesper Tolberg going for the glory here. But Tveit, this would be a huge upset again for him to take a win away and show that he's one to look at in the future here in Touring Pro Series. As we say that, Erik Tveit goes a little deep into turn 3, and it looks like Tolberg has eaten up a bit of that gap. We will find out at the next sector split, but they seem to be going corner for corner right now.
Yeah, they do. It's really going to be a case of consistency, I think, here especially. We're in the second half of the race now, and it really does start to get a bit desperate now for Jesper Tolberg. As you said, it's all about glory and bragging rights, more importantly. He's taken a massive chunk of victories this season, well over 80%. The only man to beat him being, of course, Erik Tveit. And now the last thing he wants to do is kind of use another victory. He wants to go out on the highest possible way, taking a victory and the championship, as we said before. And the one man stopping him right now is young Erik Tveit, who's done a great job this season. He really has taken the fight to the front of the field and taken the world by surprise. And he's showing no exception to that rule right now. The gap back down to 0.6 as Jesper further pushes down at the moment. As you take a look at Gary Lennon, and Robert Wiesenmüller, who are increasingly getting closer. But look at this now. Alberto Asnaghi, V8, David Yun, and Tommy Oyala all locked in battle once again. 8th, 9th, and 10th. So a lot to play for here as they get very tense. And you know, as they say, two's company, three's a crowd. Hopefully we don't see too many fireworks as these two fly around the final corner. It's all going to be a case now, I think, for Tommy Oyala to say the least. Just keep his car there. Don't go for a move.
Oh, look,
there's two cars in front of you. And wow, it's a good move there. And Alberto Asnaghi has dropped to the back of that pack. So, a very sensible decision for him there. You know, there's a lot more to play for than one position as Tommy looks for two positions in one corner. But David Yin holds that line very nicely. And Tommy goes to the inside of turn 2. That's a bit risky. And he's made it stick. And that's a great move there by Tommy Oyala. He's got two positions in two corners, and it doesn't get much better than that. A textbook manoeuvre there by Tommy Oyala, and now he is going to set his sights on Robert Wiesenmüller, who's 5 seconds up the road.
Yeah, that was some great racing there. As you see, just in the background, you've got Matej Orban just to slide his way through, as now we've got, just again, the battle is heating up again, as just up ahead, you've got some guys. You've got Monroe, Enderman, and Tomasz. They're all battling just a little ways ahead of these guys. Tallberg is now all over the back of Tveit. Look at the battle up front there. This is Monroe, Enderman, Tomasz, Matejewski. They're battling for 13th, 14th, 15th right now, and 16th. There's 4 cars ahead of them that they have to get through cleanly. They're battling for position 2. So whoever can get through here cleanly is going to take advantage of what they've got ahead. You've got, let's have a look from what Eric Tveit is trying to devise a plan as he looks ahead at what could potentially interfere with him getting a second race win here in this championship. Eric Tveit has got to be slick, he's got to be smooth, as we got one car move to the side there. Here he's coming through, coming up to 10 and 11. Let's see what it looks like from the backside. And you look back and you're thinking there's going to be a gap, and no, Tallberg is eating up all of the racetrack in between of the two of them as they head down into the final corner. Tallberg is all over the back as Nagy's into the pits. Tveit is trying to is going to have to try to get through this pack as quickly as he can without allowing Tallberg to have a chance to make a move as they pass through on Bruno Sousa Ferreira. They're coming up on it looks to be like Kevin Enderman, I believe, just ahead, and then we've got John Monroe, I believe, just went into the pits too. So Eric Tveit wide through turn 2. Eric Tveit is wide. Jesper Tallberg trying to make a move into 3. Not going to happen. Looking on the back of Tveit. Tallberg looking to go through in 3. Not going to happen here. We're on lap 31.
We've got to be careful there.
Oh,
I think there was a bit of a touch by Kevin Enderman.
Getting a little squeeze on the back there.
And they've got to be careful. As you said, these guys are fighting for position. The lap cars they're trying to navigate through, if one maybe doesn't get out of the way as quick as he would like for Eric Tveit, Tallberg's going to sail through and pick up easily around half a second. So they've got to be careful now. They've got Monroe, of course, 2 cars. Well, I think that's Luis Fernandez, the next car on the hit list. And look how close Tallberg is now. He's felt that momentum swing back on the pendulum to his side of the clock. And that's what I was talking about right there. And Tallberg feeling it right now. Jesper Tallberg has eaten up nearly a second in the past 5 laps, darting wildly to try and get. He almost hit the back of him. Had to duck out the way.
He's sideways down the straightaway.
Jesus, I can't believe it. Look, I need to close my eyes. Eric Tveit is doing everything he can right now to maintain that lead in the race. Tallberg in towards turn 1. Has he got enough momentum? No, he doesn't. Tveit somehow holds on, but he's still got over 10 laps to go. And this is going to get very tense. Monroe's off track. There's problem averted there for John Monroe. These two are left to battle to their own devices. And then there were 2. It's just these two in the racetrack once again. And it's a great view as Tallberg gets very up close and personal with the back of Eric Tveit's car. But how much longer can Eric Tveit hold on? We said the back markers would impact their race. I think that was an understatement as Tveit, beg your pardon, Jesper Tallberg goes wide.
Well, we got to understand, there's 46 laps of racing here. They've pitted well before the halfway mark. So if there was any indication at the end of the first stint of what Tveit's car ends up looking like pace-wise, this is going to be Tallberg. We're going to see this to the very end of the race. There's still 14 laps of racing to go. 13 and a half laps as they come around the final corner one more time. But that's some hairy stuff we've seen so far. Like these guys, this is heart-wrenching. As you see, we'll hop on board with Tveit. He's coming up on another lap car. He's going to need to make his way through, and Tallberg is just trying to take advantage any way he can.
Yeah, and indeed he will. And the thing is, for Tveit right now, he's handled this so well, this pressure, and he has made a couple of mistakes, but that's natural in that position. I'm sure if that was me, I would have been off track laps ago, to say the least. But right now he's done a very good job at maintaining that composure. He has not buckled, he hasn't swerved out of the way and let Tolberg through. He wants this victory, and you can almost feel that pure hunger, that pure passion that Erik de Veit has right now. And Tolberg has got to try and inspire that into his own momentum and feed off a mistake, but it's so hard. These two both have very similar driving styles, which is what makes this battle so exceptional to watch. And I'm sure it's going to go on for the entire race. 13 laps to go, and Tolberg showing no signs of letting up. He wants his victory just as much, if not more, than Erik de Veit does. And they're 17 seconds clear of Jonas Raivio, so this is going to get very tense towards the end of the race. But I can't even pick your money. You may as well throw a blanket over them, Keith.
Well, as you say that, Jesper Tolberg makes the move down the inside into the final corner, but the speed of the Rover is going to get ahead of him. If you look, Erik de Veit did a 1:10.6 the last lap by, and then does a 1:11 flat that time by. The difference would probably be because Tolberg was inside of him through the final corner, but I don't know if de Veit is able to keep this up. He has pushed this car so hard, and it looks like it is effortless for Tolberg to be at this pace. However, de Veit is a driver who is capable of driving at the absolute edge, sliding around for laps and laps and laps on end, and we've seen it in the past, but we're going to see what de Veit is made of here in the last few laps of this race.
I think the one defining race for me where that was showcased is, of course, Sparky. To remember that one where he charged through the field to pick up a brilliant position. Always started from the back and has made a very entertaining race, to say the least. He really did fight that car then. He's fighting even more so now. I can see the tyres turning the opposite direction almost as he slides the car through the corners, and it's absolutely brilliant to watch. And Tolberg, as you said, the Iceman is keeping his cool, driving this pace and still flinging the car around, and he's just not so evident. He's going to be pushing just as hard. He gets very close there. Almost a bit of a bumper kiss, but not enough in terms of de Veit. Rover speed will get better of him down in towards turn one, and look how much momentum it gives him. And it's just the one place where de Veit knows he can maintain that momentum, providing he does not make a mistake coming out the final corner. So Tolberg, going towards turn one, will have that disadvantage. He needs to compensate for that throughout the rest of the lap, and this is what makes this battle so intense right now.
Yeah, definitely, and I'm just going to quickly run down. I'm going to keep an eye on this battle on my other screen here, so we don't miss anything with the leaders here. But a little further back, you've got Gary Lennon, Wiesemuller, who the gap's slowly been closing. Wiesemuller's been putting in an effort closing, but just not quite. It's not quite there yet. Tommy Oyala is just a little ways back of Wiesemuller. Then you've got David Yunt, Mate Orban, Alberto Aznagi, Thomas Medicevsky, John Monroe, Jeff Dobbing, Bruno Sousa Ferreira, Luis Fernandez. A little ways through, you've got Kevin Enderman, Jay Adji, Ika Roding, who's off and into the wall there, it seems. Anders Nilsson, Andy Bernard, Tony Matthews, Lee Palmer, Tristan Clark, and that is rounding out the remaining drivers. Sorry, Bradley Vanian and Jonathan Ockerklint round out the remaining drivers, but the battle still wages up front as these guys are just relentless. It's menacing to see. I look over on my other screen, and all I see is Erik de Veit's bumper as I'm following along with the front of Jesper Tolberg's car. These guys are locked in the battle for the remaining 10 laps of this race, so they've got well over 10 minutes of this. Whose nerves can hold it out the longest? We've seen both of them do it, so this is a match of wits here at this point.
Indeed it is, and I think Tolberg may have met his match in terms of World Touring Masters competitor, and next season I'm sure de Veit will come back as a much stronger competitor. We can see him in this position, I think, for a long term in the future, and a bit of a momentum slide there as Tolberg almost capitalised, and that's just what can happen if you go wiggly over the hill. Tolberg being up, but luckily for Erik de Veit there was a lap car in the way, which unfortunately for Jesper Tolberg declined that inside line and allowed Erik de Veit to maintain the position for now. But you can almost feel like this move's going to be inevitable, but it's just for Jesper to try and pick a moment. It's almost just like getting a pen and having a blindfold, stabbing a random corner with it and saying, okay, that's what it's going to be. Because right now, de Veit has got this place so locked down, I don't want to put a curse on it, but he's got it so locked down in terms of having the car positioned in the right place at the right time. It's going to take either a stroke of bad luck, a mistake, or maybe, as we said before, Keith, has seen the momentum change straight away in the blink of an eye due to lap cars. If they come round to lap a few more who are in locked in battle or dueling for position, then this is going to really shake things up.
He's into the back of him! He sent him wide! He sent him off! Jesper Tolberg has sent Erik de Veit around. I think he's waiting for him. I think Tolberg will wait for Erik de Veit to get back up, and that is a gentleman thing to do. It's the right thing to do here at the end of this championship. As Jesper Tolberg gets into the back of Erik de Veit, I believe he's just going to wait for him give him a little bit of room and let him slide back through and take his position and finish this race off the way it was meant to be, because a little cheeky, I know he was sideways, but it was Talberg's late break that got him into the back of him, that sent him off this track here. Let's just have a look at what happened here. As you can see, Eric Tveit, let's look off from the back of Eric Tveit's car as they come through turn 1. Tveit's in a bit of a lockup. It looks like Talberg just comes in a little hot and just gets him around, and that's enough to send him off. And it's one of those where he gets up over the curb and then it sends him all the way around, and this is unfortunate for him. But now I believe this is Talberg allowing him back through, and we're going to see the finish of what was looking to be one of the greatest finishes and the greatest last half of a race that we've seen in quite some time. But I wanted to ask Chris, before that happened, Chris, like you've been watching and we've been following this battle very closely. Where, if anywhere, can Talberg make a clean move by Tveit? Do you see anywhere?
If anywhere, I think it's going to be into turn 9.
Turn 9, okay.
Just before you enter the final sector.
Okay. So it's going to be what? Is it a momentum thing through the chicane of 7 and 8, where he's just? It seems that I think I know what you mean, because now they're coming up to 7 and 8. And Talberg seems to be so much better through 7, which is a long right, and then you're going to go into a fast left. He seems to close a fair bit. So you mean just going into this corner here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Obviously, Jesper's a lot quicker through that series of corners.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be his only opportunity, because Eric can defend the inside of the last turn, and then all he has to do is drag away from him on the pit straight. And Jesper's not going to be able to make it on the inside into turn 2, I don't think. No,
I don't believe so either. And you can see that obviously Tveit is pushing ridiculously hard through turn 1 and 2, and he's able to keep the car safe. Very uncharacteristic to see Talberg get into the back of him, but I think they were both locked up. It just shows how hard these guys are pushing, as you can see the wiggle going on from Eric Tveit through turn 2, which is seems to be a troublesome spot as the tires start to wear out. And these guys, I believe, what lap did they pit on, Chris? They were on lap 19?
Lap 20, I think it was, that they pitted on.
So they will have 26 laps on these tires by the end of this stint. So with the last 5 laps of this race should be very, very interesting.
They will indeed, but Jesper doesn't want to take too many risks either, because I'm sure he'd love to seal up the championship at this race. And if he makes a move like that again and gets into the back of Eric, he's risking penalties, and I'm sure he won't. I'm sure he'd love to wrap it up with this one. So might even see a compassionate side of him and let Eric win the race. We'll see.
The Iceman, compassionate? Come on, no. I think though that. But I don't know, the penalties I don't think would cause a problem, just simply because even if he does get into the back, there will be obviously harsh penalties. But you're more so looking at if he does one of those moves and happens to get into a weird spot where he gets into a wall and loses the tire and takes a DNF, and that would then make the final race of the season very, very interesting. But the battle still rages between these guys. I'm going to quickly just have a look through and see if we've got anyone else battling here, because everyone seems to have slightly spread out. As you got Strauss up to 5th. Great run for him. McGregor. Oh, as we get on Strauss goes wide through the turn 1 complex. Turn 1, turn 2. Gets back on track. He's safe. Commentator's curse, it must be, getting on board with Florian Strauss.
Sorry, Jesper's up the inside of Eric, going across the bridge.
Oh, and is he through? He's through. He's through. Jesper Talberg through the bridge, is past Eric Tveit cleanly, and takes the lead from the lead of this race. Eric Tveit will have the opportunity down the front straightaway, as he's got the power advantage over Jesper Talberg, but tires seem to be a factor here, as Tveit's car is obviously losing more grip than Talberg's. Talberg has waited and waited and waited. It is now the 40th lap of 46, and he makes his move and takes the lead away. Just seems to be just ever so slightly. I'm sure Eric Tveit's going, what happened? Well, I'd like to hop on board and see if we can see what happened, because that was definitely a good move on Jesper Talberg's part, as he does it. Oh, what a move! Look at this, as he waits. Tveit.
Eric down the inside in turn 2, sorry.
Yeah, that's cool. Oh, he's through! Eric Tveit is through! Into the lead! He's back through on Talberg through turn 2. We caught just the first pass. We just caught the tail end of the second pass. They're back to where they were the lap before.
Incredible stuff. It really is. This, as you said before, Keith, this is how the race was meant to be finished. And I'm sure some spectators would disagree, but I'm glad that incident happened, because when Tolberg let Tveit back through, that showed them that it doesn't matter how much these guys fight, no matter how many kind of overtaking moves happen, no matter how many times they come together, these guys have the utmost respect for each other. Tolberg moved out of the way to let Tveit take the lead and let this race finish where it was meant to be, and that is the most greatest show of respect there by Jesper Tolberg. And now racing their hearts out once again as Tolberg looks for the momentum in towards the final corner, but the Rover will have more speed, and this is exactly why TouringProSeries is one of the best touring car leagues in all of sim racing, if not the best. You can see they crossed the line. 4 more laps to go. Who's going to win it? Tveit's had the lead in the race the entire time, but Tolberg has had that taste now. He knows he's got what it takes. Tveit knows that this is not a signed deal.
Oh, and he's down the inside, not quite there. Tolberg looking to find a way back through as you've got Lee Palmer just up ahead. And I believe Lee Palmer's battling with, I'm not quite sure who he's battling with, but Lee Palmer is just ahead of these guys. Lee Palmer, Tony Matthews, I believe, Lee Palmer and Alberto Aznaghi are just ahead of these 2 drivers. I'm sure they'll clear away, and they will make way so they're not going to interfere with the outcome of this race. But Eric Tveit on the edge, as you can see. Let's hop on board with him and see what it's like for a lap for Eric Tveit as he's trying to hang on to this car, as this is the section where Chris Butcher has said that this is where the pass may have to be made, is going into 9 as they come through 9. They're going to go through 10 and 11 into the final corner again with just 3 laps to go at the end of this lap. This is just menacing stuff as you got Tolberg looking up the inside. No, he's not going to do it. He's so close, but he just can't quite jam it up the inside yet. And he wants to do it, and he wants to do it in fashion, because this would seal his championship with a basically putting a bow on it if he could pull a win off here. But Eric Tveit is trying to stop him from doing so.
Yeah, and it's really going to get tense now. 3 laps to go, and the car goes off there. That's Lee Palmer again. And he's been no stranger to a scenic route this race, but he's going to be careful where he rejoins, as Tolberg takes some evasive action, and that may be Tveit saving race, but not for too long, because you can see Palmer really is struggling in the background, and I'm sure just want to be trying to finish this race right now. And look how much Tolberg gains. They begin to climb the hill. It's all just a race of now just trying to keep the car on track. Tveit is losing grip, as we said. Tolberg seems to be finding even more, but it's just how much has Tveit got left in the tyres?
Yeah, and I mean, how much does Tolberg have? Tolberg has not been resting this car by any means. He looks like he's got this under control, but that is a very good car control and very good throttle control from Tolberg. He's putting it in all the right places. This is the 7-8, this is going into 9. Chris Butcher called it. Oh no, this is into the final corner, and Tveit squeezes him. Tveit side by side through the final corner. This is for the lead of the race after 43 laps. Who's going to get it? Who's going to take it into turn 1? As they head down, they cross the start-finish line. Tveit's still leading, and he's going to just edge him out into turn 1. He's got the overlap, and Tolberg down the inside. He's not going to do it. You can see now this is through turn 2. Not quite there, as that was the closest I've seen him come into turn 1 and turn 2 from Tolberg. He got up the inside in through the final corner, got a great run through 10 and 11. He seems to be able to hold the car a little more true through those left and right, the transition corners. He just has that side grip over in the car still, whereas Tveit seems to get into a bit of a slide as you see him wiggle up the hill, up over the bridge.
Yeah, and as we go through once again, then there's just not too long left to go now, just a mere 2.5 minutes or so before a winner of this race is crowned, and potentially a winner of the championship. But the question is, who's going to be the winner of the first? You can see Tolberg has a much better run through there. He tries to the inside. Tveit defends with everything he's got now in that Rover, and Tolberg denies it again! I know, it's all gone wrong, and Tveit's gone round. He's got it back on track, but that could be race one over. Is Tolberg going to stop again and let Eric Tveit back through? That's the second time this has happened now, and it's such a shame. Here you can see a replay, and it's just a small tap. Tolberg has too much momentum. He's forced off track there. Great defended by Tveit.
I'm gonna have to say that Tolberg is inside the lines there, and that is what causes. That's the reason for that incident. Is Tolberg does a nice crossover, but he's using too much track. It's visibly inside the curbing, and that's the reason that Tveit gets around. Tveit using the proper racetrack. And we've got Tommy Oyala has just DNF'd, but Eric Tveit will not be waited for, I don't believe, this time, as just ahead Tolberg is going to carry on. Maybe Tolberg feeling that Tveit moved across on him, but that'll be left for the stewards to decide. But this race decided in a fairly risque way, with Tallberg being involved in an incident, as you've got a couple of cars just off here.
Oh, geez, that was close.
Eric Tveit almost getting into the back of a car that just recovered. Luis Fernandez, who just seemed to be just parked on the track there, just involved in an incident. But Eunice Ravio now all over the back of Eric Tveit. This is gonna put Eric Tveit at risk for potentially losing his second place finish. We've got a number of guys all over the place here. This is quite the battle here, as Eric Tveit now under massive pressure from Eunice Ravio as we start the final lap. Eunice Ravio looking to take second spot away from Eric Tveit. Eric Tveit has been involved in
I think we may have lost Keith there, but we are back on the final lap. As you can see, Eunice Ravio could be a contender to take away that P2 from Eric Tveit and Diane Monis. It will be such a turn of events. Ravio's been there the entire race, to be honest. He's done a good job, and it would be great to see him on the podium, which he's going for right now. But can he go one step higher? But the man who's one step higher and will be crowned the World Touring Masters champion. It's been a dominant display for him this season. He's taken every pole position. He's taken a massive chunk of race wins, and now he's going to claim the ultimate prize in being called the World Touring Masters champion. He wiggles the car in excitement and crosses the line. Jesper Tolberg's done it in controversial circumstances. Jesper Tolberg is your World Touring Masters champion. But the question is, Tveit just does it. Finishes second in front of Eunice Ravio. Great job by both of those guys. It could have been so much more than Tveit, and we'll get official confirmation of the results now. Ross McGregor going home in P4. Florian Strauss rounding out the top 5. So 3 BMWs, 3rd, 4th and 5th. But Jesper Tolberg is your World Touring Masters champion.
Yeah, would definitely. So sorry to everyone for me just cutting out like that. My microphone, just my headset somehow got unplugged. But Tallberg, as I was saying to myself in my headset, that checkered flag would have been waved with. It would have been a checkered flag and a black flag being waved, because it would have. It's probably going to end under protest for the way the win was gotten. But that's for the stewards to decide. As you've got the rest of the field crossing the line, you've got Gary Lennon in 6th, Robert Wiesemuller in 7th. David Yunt in 8th, Mate Orban in 9th, Alberto Aznagi in 10th, John Monroe in 11th, Jeff Dobbing in 12th, Thomas Matiszewski in 13th, Bruno Sousa Ferreira 14th, Kevin Enderman 15th, Anders Nilsson 16th, Jay Adji 17th, Andy Bernard 18th, Tony Matthews 19th, Lee Palmer 20th, and rounding out your top 20. But what a finish. Jesper Tallberg taking his championship, provisionally, of course. Eric Tveit, Eunice Ravio, Ross McGregor. We will definitely like to speak with some of these drivers, so we will be back in just a moment. Just bear with us. And we are back here live, just finishing off at Oran Park here for the 6th round of the World Touring Masters, put together by TouringProSeries, sponsored by SimRacingHardware.com. We saw some interesting racing, some incredible stuff. We had a championship on the line that could have been locked up by Jesper Talberg. Some great battling right to the end of this championship. We have a few of the drivers here we're going to catch a word with. Jesper is here with us, who is provisionally crowned the champion. Obviously, the race does still need to be viewed. Jesper, we saw, obviously you knew you just needed a 6th place finish here today, but we saw you racing extremely hard for the race win. Talk to us. I mean, the battle with Eric, that must have been exciting for you.
User joined your channel.
Yeah, it was quite exciting. I just couldn't get past. His car was too fast on the straight, and then when the second incident happened, I just actually on the replay, and I don't hit him at all, so must have been some lag. But yeah, it was really only the only place I could get a run of him, so I went for it, and that happened.
Well, it's. I mean, we did see definitely some sportsmanship from you. The first incident was definitely you got into the back of him through turn 2. We saw you wait for him, and that was a really good thing for you to do. It gave also a lot more entertainment for us guys for the broadcast. So just want to say, well done on the sportsmanship. We did get some confirmation from the race stewards, just provisionally, obviously, is that just based on the broadcast and the replay, it could potentially be a -4 points and a +10 seconds penalty, potentially. This is obviously without things being looked at. However, this would still make you champion. So with that provisionally being said, we would be crowning you World Touring Masters champion yet again for a 2nd season. So provisionally, I'd like to say congratulations, well done. You've really put a domination factor on this season. For Bathurst, what are your intentions? Are you going to go out there and try to take a race win again?
Yeah, I'll always go for a win, but Eric's gonna be very strong, I think, with the long straight and my shitty car.
Right on. Well, Jesper, no, I mean you've done incredible this season. We've seen some great stuff from you. Congratulations, just want to say, and well done. But Liam, I think you've got Eric Tveit here, the hard charger.
Yeah, so Eric, I mean, after what was so close to pole position for you, went into that race, took the lead after turn 1, and probably had one of the most exciting battles of your career. How was that today?
Very hard, because I had Torborg at my back in around 44 laps, I think. And I just knew all the time though that I was faster down the straight, so Torborg could pretty much try out to pass me everywhere. As long as it was in the final corner, I would be able to retake the position, as I did once. But yeah, really tough race, and it was so long with Torborg at your back.
It was just absolutely incredible to witness and a pleasure to commentate, but obviously 2 little incidents as well potentially cost you a race win. But looking back, I mean, do you think you come back stronger in Bathurst? Obviously a major event. Will you be chasing a 2nd race win?
Yeah, definitely. My row is very strong at Bathurst, I think, and it can only go good.
Well, we hope to see you there. So, I mean, more importantly though, you've done a great job this championship, it's got to be said. So maybe looking into next season, do you think you could be a championship contender?
It all depends on which mod is chosen.
Okay, well, we'll let you go and cool down now, and I'm sure that Keith's got some more drivers from the paddock.
I do, yes. I've got Eunice Ravio here, who had a great run. We've seen some ever-growing pace from you, Eunice, and I just wanted to say well done today, first off. And if you had one more lap, I saw you type that. Do you think you could have got by Eric?
Yeah, I think. That was so close.
Well, you've had some good finishes this season, Eunice, and this being one of your best finishes this season. What are your thoughts on heading into Bathurst? Because the 635 has shown to be a very good car to have at Bathurst. Are you looking for a good finish there at Bathurst to end your season?
Yeah, top 3 maybe.
Fantastic. You had some good battles out on track. Are you pleased with how you drove today?
Almost. I got poor start again. But after I passed mate, that went okay. The race
Fantastic.
start. Yeah.
Well, Eunice, fantastic stuff. You've actually matched your best finish so far in Touring Pro Series. However, with potential penalties on the horizon, you could potentially be moved into the third place, which would be your first top 3 finish ever in Touring Pro Series. So, congratulations on 4th provisionally. We could potentially see you move up into sorry. We could potentially see you move into 2nd position. You did get your best finish in 3rd. I apologize. So well done today on the top 3. Liam, I think you got is Ross McGregor? He did not make it in. No. We have Florian here. Liam, you just have a word with Florian?
Yeah, so Florian, I mean, obviously, touring car master. How was that for you today? We saw you make some impressive moves out there.
I had a bad start and made some mistakes over the race. Had a little problem in the in lap to the pits. So it was funny, but yeah, doesn't get too much to the front to the guys.
Yeah, Florian, I just wanted to ask, I know you've kind of had an up and down season in WTM. Obviously, it seems like you are having a bit of fun out there, though. You're getting to have some battles, some good stuff. We've seen some pretty fun racing from you. Like overall, this season has been fairly fun for you?
Yes.
That's good. I guess are you looking forward to potentially, obviously things still up in the air, what may come for the V8 championship next?
Maybe. I first have to update my whole hardware, so PC and wheel, before I can really, or before I want to put a lot of effort into sim racing in the moment.
Well, Christmas is right around the corner, and we could maybe Santa will be good to you. But Florian, well done today. Thank you to all the drivers. First off, it was good to talk to a bunch of these guys. Liam, thank you as always. It's been a blast. We've got one more race to go, Liam. What are you thinking? Fireworks at Bathurst?
It would be absolutely. It would be the best way to round out the season. I think we've seen it all this year. I mean, we've seen the tightest qualifying session in the world at Spa. We've seen hardliners come through the field, new faces within the top 5. Great racing, great battles, great respect amongst the drivers. It's only fitting that Bathurst should go out with a bang.
Yeah, definitely. And also, just to mention for yourself, your Green Flag podcast has just opened a little shop in case you wanted to grab some gear.
Yeah, so not just Green Flag merch either, so a couple of sim racing stuff, so should be a new line after Christmas, but a couple of promo shirts at the moment, so to check those out, go to greenflagpodcast.bigcartel.com and then send me an email with the shirt and size one, and we'll try and get something sorted for you before Christmas.
Fantastic. Well, we have 2 more events coming up. Actually, probably one of the most anticipated events, actually series we've got going. We have the World SuperTech Series Season 3 at Curitiba, which has been, if you haven't seen the first round, make sure you check it out. YouTube.com/TouringProSeries. Go look at that race. It was incredible. The talent is piling in. We've got now Ivar Calamies, who was Season 2 runner-up, and also should have been champion actually in Season 2, but he had some hardware issues. Will be coming in for Precision. So this is going to be probably one of the biggest races, I would say, with the new drivers coming in. But that will be this Friday at 20:45 GMT. Be sure to tune in live for that one. Just following that event, we've got let's see, it's the Hungaroring for ATCC. We've got, that will be next Friday from Hungaroring for the 3rd round of the ATCC. And if you haven't seen any of those events so far this season, been some really good racing. YouTube.com/TouringProSeries. And also make sure you like us at Facebook.com/TouringProSeries. And also check out our sponsors, SimRacingHardware.com. So with that being said, Liam, thank you. Chris, thanks for joining in. We will see you guys at our next broadcast. Take care.